Right now, somewhere within arm's reach of you, your phone is waiting. You haven't gotten a notification in the last 10 minutes. You check it anyway. You tell yourself it's just a habit. But the real answer is far stranger. The urge pulling your thumb toward that screen is not new. It is 2 million years old, and it was built to keep you alive. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a predator in the grass and a notification in your pocket. Both trigger the same ancient circuit. Both feel like something you cannot ignore. Why does a tiny buzz in your pocket feel more urgent than the conversation happening right in front of you? To understand this, you have to go back, not centuries, hundreds of thousands of years, back to a version of you that lived on an open savanna, surrounded by tall grass that could hide almost anything. A rustle in that grass could mean wind. It could also mean a leopard. Your ancestors who survived were not the calmest ones. They were the ones who checked, every time, without exception. This checking behavior has a name in psychology, and it comes from one of the most famous experiments ever run on behavior. In the 1950s, researcher B.F. Skinner placed pigeons inside a box with a lever. Some pigeons got a food pellet every single time they pressed it. Those pigeons pressed it occasionally when they were hungry and stopped. But other pigeons got a pellet only sometimes, unpredictably, no matter how often they pressed. Those pigeons pressed the lever obsessively. They could not stop. Skinner called this a variable ratio reward schedule, and it remains one of the most addictive patterns ever discovered in behavioral science. Your phone runs on the exact same schedule. Sometimes you check it and there's nothing. Sometimes there's a message that makes your whole day better. You never know which one it will be. That unpredictability is not an accident. It's the same mechanism that kept Skinner's pigeons pressing a lever until they collapsed from exhaustion. Your ancestors lived with their own version of this. Sometimes the rustle in the grass was nothing. Sometimes it was everything. The brain that checked anyway was the brain that survived. But it isn't just about reward. It's about something even older, anticipation itself. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz spent decades recording the activity of dopamine neurons in the brains of primates, and what he found changed how scientists understood desire. Dopamine doesn't spike when you get the reward, it spikes right before. In the moment of uncertainty. In the half-second where you don't yet know what's behind the rustling grass or what's waiting in your notification bar. The anticipation is the high point, not the discovery itself. This is why checking your phone feels almost involuntary. You are not chasing the message. You are chasing the moment just before you see it. Have you ever noticed that the second after you check your phone and there's nothing new, you almost immediately want to check again? Psychologist Kent Berridge, working out of the University of Michigan, drew a sharp line between two things people usually treat as the same: wanting and liking. Wanting is the pull, the craving, the itch to act. Liking is the satisfaction once you actually have the thing. Berridge's research showed these run on separate brain systems, and wanting can stay switched on long after liking has faded. You can want to check your phone with real intensity and still feel nothing when you finally look. The wanting system doesn't care whether the reward was good. It only cares that a reward is possible. Now picture your ancestor again scanning the horizon at dusk. The wanting system that made her glance toward every shadow, every distant movement, every flicker at the edge of vision, kept her alive through 10,000 evenings where nothing happened. And then one evening, something did. That one evening is the reason the system never turned off. Evolution does not reward comfort. It rewards vigilance. Here's where it gets stranger. Your brain cannot tell the difference between social danger and physical danger. A message from someone you care about left unanswered doesn't just feel like information you're missing. It feels like a thread to your tribe that might be breaking. For most of human history, being cut off from your group wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. No tribe meant no shared food, no protection at night, no help when you got sick. Your brain still treats social disconnection with that same ancient alarm, even when the disconnection is just an unread message sitting in an app. This is why a notification feels less like information and more like an alert. It isn't really asking you to check it. It's asking you to confirm that your place in the group is still secure. Why does an unanswered text feel heavier than it should, even when you know, logically, that nothing is actually wrong? Consider how differently this plays out depending on what's actually at stake. A message from your boss creates a different kind of pull than a message from a stranger even before you open either one. Your nervous system is already triaging threat versus opportunity, status versus safety, before a single word has been read. This sorting happens below conscious thought, in the same fast automatic layer of the brain that once decided, in a fraction of a second, whether a shape moving through grass was a branch or a predator. Speed mattered more than accuracy back then. A false alarm cost you nothing but a startled glance. A missed real threat cost you your life. So the system evolved to err on the side of alarm every time, even when the cost of a false alarm today is nothing more than glancing at a meaningless app icon for the 40th time before lunch. This is also why silence can feel unbearable in a way that seems out of proportion to reality. No notification for an hour shouldn't mean anything. Yet some part of you starts to wonder if something is wrong, if you've been forgotten, if the line connecting you to everyone you care about has gone quiet for a reason. Isn't it strange that the absence of information can feel louder than the information itself? Modern phones didn't invent this loop. They found it already running inside you and built a machine specifically designed to trigger it over and over every few minutes for the rest of your life. The infinite scroll. The pull to refresh gesture that mimics a slot machine lever. The red dot that demands resolution. None of these were designed around your conscious choices. They were designed around the same ancient circuitry that once scanned grasslands for movement. Engineers and product designers did not need to understand evolutionary psychology in detail to exploit it. They only needed to notice what kept people coming back, and then build more of that, faster, smoother, with fewer obstacles between impulse and action. Every design choice that removes friction between you and the screen is a design choice that bypasses the slower, more deliberate part of your brain and speaks directly to the older, faster part, the part that doesn't ask whether checking is worth it, the part that only asks whether checking is possible. And it works because the circuitry doesn't expire. You are not weak for feeling pulled toward your phone 40, 50, 80 times a day. You are running software built for a world that no longer exists, software that has not had time to update. 2 million years is nothing compared to the 15 years smartphones have existed. Your biology simply hasn't caught up. There's a quieter consequence to all of this, one that rarely gets mentioned. Constant vigilance, even of the digital kind, keeps your nervous system in a low simmer of alert. Your ancestors needed that alert state for short bursts, followed by long stretches of actual rest, actual safety, actual stillness. Today, the alert state barely turns off. The notification might come at any second, so some part of you stays half-braced for it all day, every day. What would it feel like to go even 1 hour without that low hum of expectation running in the background? This doesn't mean the urge is something to fight with willpower alone. Willpower was never strong enough to out-argue a survival circuit that took 2 million years to build. Telling yourself to simply try harder is like telling your eyes not to blink when something flies toward your face. The mechanism is faster than your intention to resist it. By the time you've consciously decided not to check your phone, your hand may have already started moving toward it. What actually works is removing the unpredictability that fuels it. Turn off notifications and the variable reward schedule loses its power, because there's no longer a random chance hiding behind every glance. Put the phone in another room, and the ancient vigilance system has nothing nearby to scan. The behavior doesn't disappear because you became disciplined. It disappears because you took away the rustling grass. There's a reason this works so reliably, and it has less to do with self-control than with environment. Skinner's pigeons never stopped pressing the lever because they decided pressing it was beneath them. They stopped, or slowed dramatically, only when the lever was removed from the box entirely, or when the reward stopped coming no matter what they did. The same principle applies to you. You are not a weaker version of some idealized, disciplined person. You are a normal human nervous system responding exactly as it should to a stimulus engineered to be irresistible. Change the stimulus, and the response changes with it, often faster than you'd expect. Think about that for a second. The most effective fix for one of the most modern compulsions in human existence is the same as the oldest fix there is: distance from the source of uncertainty. Your ancestors couldn't always create that distance. A predator doesn't wait for your convenience, but you can. You can simply put the device somewhere you cannot see it, and the part of your brain built to scan for danger will, slowly, begin to quiet. It's worth sitting with how strange this really is. The species that built rockets, mapped genomes, and split the atom is still, underneath all of it, run by the same nervous system that once stared into tall grass and waited to find out if it was about to die. You didn't choose to feel pulled toward your phone. Your biology chose it for you, a long time before phones, before electricity, before agriculture, before almost anything you would recognize as civilization. Tonight, when your phone buzzes and your hand moves toward it before you've even decided to move it, you'll know what's actually happening. It isn't weakness, it isn't a lack of discipline. It's an ancient survival instinct, still running, still convinced that what's rustling in the grass might be the most important thing in the world. And in a strange way, for the version of you that lived under that grass 2 million years ago, it was.